For whatever you do, General Tire delivers.
When off-road trucks were brought onto iRacing, one track was at the top of everyone's wish list: Crandon. The world's center of off-road short course racing, this place has history and prestige behind it. So starting off a new season here means the pressure is on to perform right off the bat. Who will claim the opening salvo? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round one of the 2023 General Tire National Series, and you'll see it all live here on Podium Esports. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and joining me in the booth is the voice of off-road, Dave Arnold. Behind the scenes is our producer, Ryan Bauer, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Well, Dave, I'm looking forward to Crandon. It's honestly one of my favorites here on iRacing. It always seems to put on a fantastic show.
Yeah, Crandon definitely brings some of the best, I think, racier tracks. It's really fast, and it's just fun, and it's such a beautiful track, too.
Here we can see from the Google Earth, zooming in on the circuit down here in Wisconsin. A bit of a unique layout with that long appendage leading down into the cowboy hairpin. But also the most different part about this whole track compared to others is the land rush start. You can see that straight line. They'll be starting in a long row across, up to 2 long rows, depending on how many cars are starting in each heat and feature, and sending it down into turn 1, where they're actually going to be giving a bonus point for the whole shot, whoever makes it into there first when they head under the blue arch. So watch out for that. But then the finish line is, of course, after Calamity Corner, a little bit farther in the lap. Now, for these races, we'll have heats with up to 4 of them, and there'll be 4 laps each, with the top 3 finishers going into the finale automatically. The LCQs will be everybody else's race after that to try and get into the big show. And it's going to be the top 3 from those last chance qualifiers. Those also will be 4 laps. And then the finale will be 12 laps, and it will have a competition caution, which has played a big part in these races from what we saw last season for the National Series. But there are some big names that have shown up for this one. I've seen black stripes, including not just from the short course world here on iRacing, but one of our oval pro drivers, Alex Bergeron, is here this season, Dave. So I'm excited to see how he does getting up in the air and not just going around in circles.
Yeah, it's going to be definitely an animal for him. But, you know, sometimes these guys translate good, you know, or I should say well, to the dirt. Now, one of the things he's going to have to really watch, that apex changes so much in the dirt. That's where he's going to have to really start to figure it out and how to slide that car.
Well, he is up against some fierce competition. Connor Berry, the champion from last season of the National Series, looking to try and defend that title. And right now, he is second of the qualifying times. Now, remember, they're seeding the splits by this, so he won't be starting around those that have qualified in front and behind him. They'll be put into different seeds. And it's imperative for him to get a good starting spot in that first race just to set him up well, but he does not necessarily need pole here. And he has taken a very wide line through Calamity Corner, maybe just setting himself up for the run.
Yeah, sometimes you just want to play with it, find out where the turn's going to do it. I mean, he's got so many laps on this track, whether it's on the sim or in real life. He knows where all the fast spots are. He might be looking, go, okay, if somebody's crammed up on the inside, I can take this line on the outside. I think he was probably thinking that a little bit.
Absolutely. As you see him now fly over the leaps that lead down into Cowboy Hairpin, the slowest corner on the track, very tight. And again, taking a bit of a wide line. This time we're going to Dashley, though, here in the number 23. He is currently trying to find him on our times if he has set one. And I don't see him on the tower quite yet. P3, actually, we're getting information. Yeah, so he is just behind Connor Berry in terms of time by about quarter of a second. And they get 4 laps to try and set their best time out here. He's on his second right now. So you're talking about experimenting. He's still got time to try and mess around here, Dave, before he really finds what's optimal.
Yeah, definitely. You got to feel the track. I know the way iRacing sets these tracks up, they do deteriorate. So when you're not qualifying, you're not going to have necessarily always have the same track you're going to have during the race conditions. So you kind of want to play with it. You want to make the truck do a few other things, but you also want to make sure you get a fast lap out of it too.
Barry just went up to the top spot with a 1:18.3 over Jacob Raffus, who is now less than a tenth of a second behind him. Very tight up there currently for those top positions. I will say, though, that qualifying on pole gives you the chance to start from pole in the feature race, because the only way you can get that is being in that first heat and managing to win that one. Looking back to Justin Kay in the meantime, as he swings it around onto the long stretch leading down to the Cowboy Hairpin as well. And that is the spot where if you look off to the right-hand side of the trucks, you will see that land rush as he's using every inch, putting it up on the berm there before he gets into the corner.
Yeah, definitely he's using that track up there, trying to find that fast shoot through the corner. You want to carry as much speed as you can through that corner. You don't want to go in there and scrub too much, off. And I'm looking at these times, I'm just blown away. There's just tenths of a second, We got Rufus and we got Dashley, we got Swane. Bergen is looking like he's probably, pretty much tied with Swane. And then even in the 119s, they're not that far off either, because there are a few flat 119s out there.
Yeah, looking at, looks like the top 20 roughly. Yeah, top 20 are all within a second of one another. It is only a 1:18 lap time, so it's not a super long lap compared to many paved tracks, but that's still an extremely small margin for these drivers, as Kay's third lap is only a 20.2, so that's not going to bump him up any higher, unfortunately. And this will be his last flyer as he tries to find whatever he can here at the very end. You mentioned Bergeron. He gets bumped down to 6th, it looks like, after the most recent lap. And his last 2 laps have been deleted, so he must have made contact with a wall or been off the course somewhere that iRacing has deemed that out of bounds.
I really like how they've taken that into, effect now and penalizing them. You got to run a clean race, and that's what it's about. Professional drivers, whether you're on the track or in iRacing, you got to run clean because you got to finish the race. You got to get the good qualifying time. And one of the cool things I'm really noticing is over the last couple of seasons, it's like watching some of these young drivers I've watched in real life and off-road. They're progressing. Seeing how close these times are, some of these drivers, it could be one little mistake and the whole board changes.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up. I do love seeing that, how many young folks we see embracing sim racing, and especially iRacing, bringing on these short course trucks as a way to train during the off season. Obviously, we're in the middle of winter right now as this airs, so it seems like they've really gleaned to that as a valuable tool.
Well, I know for a fact that a lot of racers in different disciplines have gone to like sprint car and training. I know a good friend of mine, Corey Cruzman, runs a sprint car school. He's a time champion. He teaches a lot of these drivers how you get a slide, how you get that control, which when they get into a pavement situation, a little speed, you know how to keep that little bit on the edge where you're not breaking loose, where you have to keep that forward momentum. You don't want to spin your tires in the dirt either. You got to learn throttle control. So I can see the good translation between that, and driving these trucks is really going to help, I think, on the pavement.
Prater's really wheeling this one. He's on his final lap. As he comes across the line, he doesn't make it because the time runs out, unfortunately. So that is it for our qualifying. And before our first heat grids up, we'll have a special presentation here in a second. We're just waiting for a few of the cars to find their way out there onto that land rush start. Looks like we're starting to get a few of them all out and ready to go. About 9 of them going to be taking part here today. So looking forward to this as our first heat of the season here in 2023, getting ready to kick off. Looks like all but one are out there. So why don't we head to that special presentation I was mentioning? We have the national anthem ready to play.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rugged red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
What a fantastic way to kick off the season. Here's our starting grid. Christopher Plumley on the pole position. Connor Berry starts next to him with Keith Jeffrey in P3. It's going to be Ryan Miller in 4th. Paul Mikolajczyk in the 5th position with Dennis Mikkelsen in 6th. Cody Winecki will be P7. Bodie Cryer in 8th, and Felix Roy starting from 9th here. Again, land rush start, so they will all be in a row, as you can see there right now on our pictures. And it's going to be a matter of who can get down in front of everybody else into the first turn. And then they'll start the first lap once they get around past Calamity Corner. They're waiting for it to go here, as I heard a couple of revs. So looking for the call for them to be ready, and we'll start to hear those engines rise. Unfortunately, it looks like Cryer is not going to be able to take part as he has had a connection issue. Engines are up, and the green flag is out. Ooh, bad start there for Connor Berry. He went absolutely nowhere. Plumley on the inside. Looks like he might be able to get there first, but the 88 coming up around the outside as they swing into the first corner. Looks like Holeshot does indeed go to the 36 of Plumley.
Yeah, Plummer with a great drive through that Potawatomi turn number 1. He heads up by the barn. Now this is a very important position right here. He's got to stay out front here, like you said. That's going to give you the chance, if you win this first one, to get that pole position. But he's got a lot of heat behind him. Look at all those footsteps.
Spanning out across the gravel pit but thankfully it's been a clean start. This is great to see. They were given a lot of talk from race control before they went green here to try and make it through those first corners and then sort it out from there. A little beating and banging, but that's to be expected. They're all keeping pointed forward as now they come past to the start-finish line onto their first lap. Plumlee still leading Jeffrey. Roy is in third with just an absolute flurry of trucks behind him.
And you keep an eye on Connor. I noticed he was taking a little bit wide, higher lines there because everything was starting to stack up single file. You know, you can't pass somebody. You're going to have to get out the outside. That's what Connor's trying to do. He's going to go for a wide, high one here to slide right through the center. Perfect line right there, but he only got one. Oh, I thought he got a position.
Went 3 wide, banged off each side of the truck, and looks like Ryan Miller is going to come out ahead of those 3, though, as Barry once again going around the long way, trying to take the spot off of Paul in the 177 as they swing past the barn. Once again, 3 wide. They're going to hit the outside wall a little bit, but Barry holds on to it, keeps momentum, still threatening on Miller down to the inside for that 4th position.
Well, it looks like Jeffrey's trying a little heat there to Plumlee, but Plumlee's got a good little gap there. Now look back at the gap to 2nd to 3rd. You got these guys fighting out. That's going to slow them down a little bit. Someone's going to have to make a move and get out of that little train.
Connor Barry's main focus here is getting up into the top 3 so that he doesn't have to worry about making it in that last chance qualifier. Miller is outside the bubble himself. Whoa, down to the inside of him. There goes number 2, but the 51 shuts the door, switches direction onto the backstretch now. Both of them just losing touch with Felix Roy, who is the last man to transfer as it sits.
Well, a very nice move by Miller as I'm watching him try to fill that gap. He's trying to see where Connor's going to go. Connor's going to go deep here, and Miller goes a little lot wide there. I think he should have gone down a little bit tighter because you can see how Barry just slid up to that middle line. He just filled it and took the spot that way.
That was a perfect slide job from the number 2.
Yes.
That moves him up into 4th. Past the barn once again. Plumlee has got about a 2nd gap over Jeffrey up at the front. Roy is losing a little bit of touch. A look to the inside from the 51, though, as the 2 is not done with this fight yet. He's going to try and challenge him and take it back.
Now, the way Miller's been driving, I think he's still in for the fight for sure. He is toe-to-toe with Barry as Barry slides around. They're matching speed to a certain degree. Barry's just got it just that little bit of an edge. I mean, I hate to say this, but Miller would have to get up there and have a little rub contest with him, I think.
No doubt.
They're going to have to touch.
And you mentioned the speed as well. That's one thing that I always find distinctive about this place. Compared to some short course tracks, there is a lot of fast corners around here. You mentioned turn 1. They go through there at about 95 miles an hour.
So definitely hauling the mail, as they say. They come around. I mean, one of the things, and you're also pushing that thing sideways at near 100 miles an hour.
Ugh. I don't know how the real guys do that as we watch from onboard Keith Jeffrey looking back, but looking forward is really what he's doing. He's keeping Plumlee honest. If he makes a little hiccup there, he could snatch that lead away.
Yeah, Jeffrey's really on it right there. He's keeping those lines. You know, it's a good spot. You're in a qualifying position, but if you definitely see a little, daylight, you're going to take advantage of it. And I think that sometimes the Plumlee slowed down in a few of these backside corners, and that's where Jeffrey's starting to eat him up. But right through here, these fast sections, this is where Plumlee has a little bit of the advantage.
You can start to see that track evolving like you heard Dave mention a little bit earlier. As we're getting a drier line forming, pretty soon it'll start to slick up and rubber in a few places. A little bit of a look underneath. Barry's already caught up to Felix Roy. He's going to have 1 to go this time by, so chances are running out. He's going to have to be aggressive if he wants to transfer on.
Oh, great shot there from Mickelson. You can see he's looking to the inside to make a pass there. Tried to fill it there on the 51 of Miller, but Miller still trying to fight. You know, he's lost a little ground there, Roy, but now he's got to worry about Miller. But Roy should be his focus right now. That's the last qualifying position you talk about.
And also saw Mickelson just clip the concrete barrier, unfortunately, and that cost him a bit as they fly down towards the breaking of Cowboy Hairpin once again. Barry sends one up the inside, almost manages to get by Felix Roy, but Roy gets the good run off the corner, seeing that one coming.
You watch how Roy's going to come over, fill that fast line going through turn number 1 again. Because he knew Barry, if he gave him the outside, he would have given the advantage to come through here to sneak up the inside. Very smart drive.
Not going to be many opportunities. Gravel pit and Calamity Corner might offer something, but we'll see if Barry can take advantage. In front of them, Plumley and Jeffrey have not been close to changing positions. That looks pretty locked in. And there you can see the leader in the number 36 as he looks back at Keith Jeffrey. Calamity Corner, just one to go, tucks it down to the inside, and the 36 is going to take the heat win for race 1 of the season. Keith Jeffrey second, and just across the line, Felix Roy tumbling still manages to take the transfer spot.
Absolutely incredible finish.
It's less than a tenth of a second between them. At the end there. Great stuff. Here is your finishing order. Plumley, Jeffrey, and Roy can advance automatically to the feature. Connor Berry will start from pole in his last chance qualifier. That's the good news, but he's still going to try and get a good run in that LCQ. Miller behind him in 5th with Mickelson 6th. Mikolajic 7th, Winecki in 8th, and then Cryer did manage to get to the start, and it looks like he's going to complete all laps, but he'll finish 9th, sadly.
Well, there's always another chance when you go to the LCQ, but I have to tell you, there's only a couple positions out of there. It's going to get you into there. What are we transferring out of the LCQ? That would be the biggest key.
Top 3 is what I'm seeing. So he's going to have a lot of work to do, unfortunately. Meanwhile, we're already to the second heat, and that is going to be Keaton Swane, who starts on the pole. Jacob Raffis will be in second with Cody Retzlaff in P3. Tyson Miller starts in the 4th position. You've got Zachary Drapkin in the 5th spot, Sean Winkler in P6, and Michael Buono in the 7th position. James Burke and Dalton Hayden will round them out as the green flag is already out, and they're on their way coming down towards the hole shot. An excellent start for the number 24 for Jacob. Nobody to challenge him down to the apex of Potawatomi turn 1, and the rest of them beating and banging. Somebody getting into the wall, unfortunately. I think that was Michael in the 643.
And I'll tell you, this is the most exciting start in any motorsport out there. You know, close to 100 miles an hour, coming through that turn sideways with a couple of 1,000 horsepower and a couple of 1,100 pounds coming after you.
I'd be very grateful for the roll bars in these things if I was in one of those cars. But coming out of the gravel pit, great run from Jacob. Keaton Swane follows him in a second. Tyson Miller into the last transfer spot, absolutely sending it into the corner. Somebody really banged into the side. I think that was Drapkin. No, for Burke, actually, that got slammed into the door. Somebody even got a warning, I think, from race control out of that.
Well, as I'm looking here, it looks like we got a couple different Millers. I mean, I know it's a common name, so we'll have to get a first name on that Miller to identify which Miller is actually going to go to the main event tonight.
That's the 90 of Tyson, yeah.
Tyson, okay. I was catching that. Oh, another Miller. But I'll tell you, Swane, look at this nice move to the inside. Swane's got some experience on this track. Uh-oh, little neck coating going on there. Ralph's got his hands full. Where's he at?
Oh, he's blinking a whole bunch. I wonder if that was the warning that we heard, actually, and wasn't related to the contact. For those not familiar, a big look to the inside there from Keaton. The net code, the blinking that we're talking about, is his internet connection is not solid. It's not sending information very well. So that's why he is blinking out. It's considered very unsportsmanlike, and many leagues, including this one, do have rules regarding it. So hence why we probably heard the stewards getting on the radio to letting him know he's got to get that cleared up. As we look back from Jacob, Keaton, once again, making a little bit of contact, just rubbing the fenders of the number 24, letting him know he's there.
Yeah, I know Keaton Swane originally came from open wheel, from racing buggies. Well, now that he's got full fenders, he did some also in real life on the pro light. Well, when you get fenders, you tend to get a little bit more braver. I think he's not afraid to throw a little shoulder there once in a while. I think Ralph is going to have his hands full for him.
Got the onboard camera here from Michael Buono, just barely ahead of Burke and behind Drapkin. So these final 3 are kind of squabbling amongst each other. A few more trucks really using that berm on the right-hand side, trying to go down to the inside. Sharper doesn't give the grip from Michael. It looks like Drapkin's going to be able to run away. As we look a little farther up front to Tyson Miller, still on that transfer position. The car behind is Cody Retzlaff, trying to see if he can catch up and do something with that number 90.
And Retzlaff's no joke for sure, but on board Miller, he's got that position. Retzlaff definitely has his target set on him. But look at that gap he has right now. And that's going to be shortened up here, but it's look at the drive that Miller had. Great hookup out of that gravel pit.
Yeah, I think that's the key thing, that he's got him at arm's length right now, so he doesn't have to worry. It's definitely a much closer fight for P1 and P2. Keaton and Jacob just really making it a tussle up there as they come within inches of each other in some of the slower corners, which you got to think that the 21's probably going to keep sticking his nose in any opportunity he sees.
Yeah, definitely wants a good starting position coming out of it. He knows he's in a, he's got a qualifying position. Unless he really screws up, he could take both of them out, he could take himself out. But the big key is you want to get out front.
Absolutely. Back to James Burke, last driver on the track right now, with Michael ahead of him. He's lost touch with those drivers that he were fighting with before. Zachary in the 56, coming off of Cowboy Corner and down into Potawatomi. Looks like as we switch a little farther up to our leaders and down past the barn, this is a big chase. I think, is that on Tyson Miller actually that we're seeing right now?
Yeah, it looks like that's the battle we're watching. There's Ratzliff there.
Yep, that's the 90 of Miller. So yeah, so Cody chasing on Tyson as we hop on board with the 525. Up and over the jump into the Calamity Corner, which is honestly one of my favorite names for a corner in racing. And over the leap, so many elevation changes, not just in general, but a lot of jumps put into this circuit.
Yeah, and it's fast. You're not slowing down for these jumps. They're hitting them pretty much full throttle at this point. I've seen trucks land on top of each other, roll over each other, and pass that way before. It's gnarly.
How many real-life drivers in this discipline wind up with back problems later in life?
Yeah, quite a few. I've seen a few, a little bit rougher tracks, but a few flatlanded. I've seen a few fractured vertebrae.
Oof.
It's a rough one for sure.
No, thank you.
Yeah, this suspension really does help, but if your shocks fail, you have a bad crash, it could happen. And I'll tell you what, the guys do walk a little bent over, some of the older guys. They're looking for pennies, as we always say.
I like that. Back up to our leader, Jacob. This is the last lap of the race. He's managed to keep Keaton behind him. Looks to the inside one last time. Maybe he could try something down into Calamity Corner. We'll see as they fly over the leap, looking for that finish line. Just gives him a little hello, and that's not going to cost him the position. The 24 takes the win. Swane's going to transfer, and so will Miller. In the end, as the rest of now sweep across the finish line, they all stayed within 7.7 seconds of one another. That's less than an average of a second per car. There is your finishing results for this heat. And as I mentioned, Raffis, Swane, Miller transfer on. Retzlaff, Winkler, Drapkin, Buono, and Burke will have to move to the LCQ. Hayden did not take part in this race, unfortunately. For our starting grid of the next group, it is going to be Parker Retzlaff starting on the inside of that one with Alex Bergeron there in second. You've got Aiden Bierlein starting in P3, Trenton Briley in fourth, and then Mason Prater in fifth, Justin K. sixth, John Binder and Cameron Magashik rounding them out as the green flag is out, and they are already on the run down to the whole shot, looking to see who can get there first. And it looks like Parker Retzlaff just barely ahead. Ooh, we got a car maybe around. I think that is going to be Aiden Bierlein, who gets turned the wrong direction.
Yeah, definitely that's not where you want to be, especially in a heat race right now. He pretty much is just going to be looking for that LCQ. Only top three transfer out of this one. Now you can see Prater trying to make a run up the inside there. He's back and forth. He's been a champion in the past. He knows how to do it. He's been fast. He hasn't been, regular in the National Series he was in the past. Hopefully this year he's going to give it a run. But Ratzliff, I'll tell you, the brothers, they both do bring excitement for sure.
When there's some trucks kind of getting bunched up there, and unfortunately that turned them straight into the K-rail on the inside. Thankfully, looks like everybody was able to carry on. I thought we were going to get some turned over.
And you got to worry about damage on the vehicles when you start having the contact with those concrete barriers there. I mean, iRacing takes that into effect. I mean, you can blow motors, you can blow all kinds of issues, and you can get handling problems that way. And that's
Yeah.
not the way you want to do this.
Yeah, that is going to be a real nightmare through the remaining 4 laps, because that started the first of the 4 laps right there, coming across that start-finish line. Trenton Briley, last one to transfer, but he does have Prater behind him by only about half a second. There we can see him now as we look from behind on the top of the truck of the number 50, or excuse me, of the 17 rather. And as they go past the barn, the 50 is hot on his heels, swings around the outside using every inch of it, and then flies off the tabletop down towards the gravel pit.
Well, Briley and Prater both have a lot of real-life experience, you know, both coming from the trophy carts and moving up through the series there. Trenton has been a force to reckon with also in the iRacing. Prater, you know, he's just been a little bit step ahead of everybody, but like we said earlier, everybody's stepped up their game.
Yeah,
Everybody's gotten quicker.
I have to imagine that last season, especially with the stomping that they had from some of the drivers at the front, there's a lot of other people that are hungry to try and step up to the top and take trophies home this season. Even if they can't get a championship, they want to steal a win off of their rivals. And coming down into the sweeping cowboy corner, Retzlaff is still pulling away from Bergeron, who's holding his own here on the twistier bits.
Yeah, Bergeron's really holding his own back there, but Retzlaff has definitely got a fast line around it. Oh, come a little close there, a little contact, it looks like possibly with the wall. A couple guys scraping their nose.
Ooh, Bergeron had a bad hit with the berm on the inside. Looks like he managed to threaten on that number 17 just a little bit as they fly into the gravel pit once again. Everybody taking the same line. Nobody trying to stick their nose in quite yet amongst them. We're going to watch from the roof cam here of Mason Prater. You can see it might look sloppy from the outside, but from inside you can see the precision these guys need getting right up next to these barriers.
Yeah, they're making contact with those barriers. They're actually scraping the white paint off of them. But I'll tell you, they are now getting up to actually start messing with Bergeron a little bit. I think it's going to get real.
Yeah, Bergeron maybe having to do a little bit of a rear guard here for the remaining half of the race. Things are going to crunch together once again down to the hairpin, but we still don't see anybody manage to get that overlap amongst them. Will a slide job start to rear its head as they continue to do this as well? That means Parker Retzlaff is just stretching that comfort.
Well, you worry about somebody behind you. Sometimes you may, you know, you got a little tense. You might start to, you know, squeeze that steering wheel. You drive it a little tight, and that can allow, you know, Parker Retzlaff just to walk away with it. Bergeron's got to worry about and focus what's in front of him, that's behind him. And that's when it get into a driver's head. That's when something's going to happen. That's when a pass is going to happen.
With the years of experience up at the pro level on the dirt oval side, I would think Bergeron would be very comfortable dealing with them behind, but we'll see how he does. Now coming to the 1 to go signal, and we watch from Prater's view as Briley managed to get a little bit underneath Alex Bergeron, but I don't think he was going to make a pass there, but certainly trying to do what you were talking about and get in his head.
Well, I'm sure he is, you know, just coming to racing off-road, you know, race the oval. He's got 2 really experienced in the real life as well as iRacing drivers. You know, it's a little intimidating, you know. You could actually rattle a few people that way.
Yeah, I'm sure he's done some experiments over here on this side of things. I can't imagine he's gone this whole time without giving it a go. I just don't know how much experience he has, and I don't have any information with me. We'll see if he comes in and chats with us and gives us any sort of insight on that, as the cloud cover really bringing the coolness out here on this final lap. And Bergeron, he could give up this second place, mind you. Briley is fighting him for it, but he just needs to be in the top 3 to get through. We'll see whether or not he tries to defend super hard and risk it as they come around the last couple corners. He is trying to cover him off just a little bit. Briley down to the inside of the gravel pit, but can't get the grip off the turn ahead of them. Parker Retzlaff just brushing that inside wall as he comes around the final turn and takes the heat win. Bergeron second, and Briley will transfer in third. Prater, K, Magashik, Binder, and Beerline will round out your 8 there. There's your finishing order for this one. And we'll have one more heat to go through now. Crystal King will start on the pole with Nicholas Dachelet in the second spot. It'll be Vicente Salas in third with Jarrett Liebert in fourth, Scott Kerr in fifth, Colin Murphy P6, Don MacArthur seventh, and Taylor Vandenbush in eighth. They've been starting these guys really quickly here, so let's see what this holds for our crew, as it looks like they're all out there and ready to race. Engines start to rev, looking for the green. And there it is. Green flag is out for the final heat of the night. Dachelet, very good off the line here. In fact, he might have a good chance of having the whole shot coming into the first corner as they swing around. Indeed, the 23 didn't start on the top spot, but he's got the quickest go.
This is definitely getting really interesting, seeing how many big drivers are going to have to go to the LCQ. Who's going to have to go out of this one? It's going to be a battle royale for sure, but this heat is going to be interesting for sure, too. Look at the good start there already.
Vandenbush has gone up and over, unfortunately, does land on his wheels. He's able to get rolling, but he's another one that's probably going to wind up in the LCQ unless something dramatic happens in this race. Just glad he's able to get that car going. So it is Dachelet leading, King in second, and Salas, current pro paved oval driver, up at the eNASCAR level there in the 29.
Very nice. Very new discipline coming to this one for sure. Now, I'm not too familiar with the other one. I've heard of Salas before. I know Crystal King, a former regional champion, moved up to compete with that. But Dachelet, he's an old hand at this, too. He knows how to win races for sure.
Interesting note about Salas, he actually raced at the pro level of the Rallycross Championship for iRacing as well. So this isn't too out of his wheelhouse, but he's just kind of a jack of all trades.
Yeah, that's really good to see. That's what a good driver is. I've seen so many drivers that could translate. You know, you learn to drive in the dirt, you can pretty much drive anything.
It's very cool to see him come over here and race against some top names. I've spent a lot of time with him. I actually get to work with Williams when I cover the eNASCAR series for that company. And so I've had a lot of time to really get to know that guy. He's extremely passionate about his racing. Salas, as we watch from on board, is still within about half a second of King, but he is in a transfer spot. So how hard does he want to push the issue?
And that's the question right now. Do you want to go to LCQ with all those big names in there to go fight it out? You know, drive smart, protect your position. Don't worry about what's behind you, though. You got to battle what's up in front of you.
Liebert is within the equation, I guess you could say here, is kind of watching those two. There was a little contact between the 29 and 278. If something goes wrong with him, he is there to pick up the pieces. And no doubt he'll be quick to try and sneak through, considering right now he will not transfer. There we go. Another move down the inside from Salas.
A beautiful move there. And it's just so great to see from that onboard. You could really see how all three trucks would rotate at the same time. You know, and they go through the turn, hit the line, exit. Just a little bit different, so they're trying to look for a little daylight, look and see if I get a little faster maybe, you know, here I can make it past the inside, get my nose up there. That's what they're always thinking.
Big bounce there as they landed.
I'm amazed he stayed down.
Yeah, I thought King was going to go for a ride, but Salas is now up into second, and it looks like King's got to play the rear guard on Liebert instead. They've also got Scott Kerr in there. In fact, this is, I think, one of the tightest battles we've seen for transfer positions between more than just two cars.
Yeah, this is really definitely becoming a battle right now. If somebody makes a mistake, it's going to change the whole qualifying order. Crystal King is not backing off. You can see she keeps on trying to stick that nose up in the inside.
Indeed, and it's been a very good run despite losing that position. Looks like solidifying it now in that 278. She's trying to hold her own with Jarrett just kind of breathing down her neck as we watch them come up into the braking now of the Cowboy hairpin. Jarrett going a little wide, and he makes himself vulnerable just off to the shot there. You can see Scott Kerr making some contact actually with the number 10.
Kerr looks like he's trying to go with a beautiful move there. That was very smart. You know, with one lap to go after this next time around, that might be the corner he goes for the move. You might have been setting him up for it.
Down once again past the barn. Love the banking on that corner as you can see them just fly up the hill and over the crest. and then come down past the pits here on the outside of this corner, outside a gravel pit. And then it's one more corner to go. And in fact, it's going to be one lap to go here for these drivers. Dashley, we haven't really talked about him a lot. He's still leading, but it's only by about a second over Chente, at least for now. It's probably a little too far back for at least one lap for him to try and run him down, unless he gets a mistake out of that number 23.
Well, I'm sure he's got probably somebody spotting and say, hey, don't worry about it. Salas and King are battling it out there. Salas, not really gaining on you. He's trying to hold off Crystal, I think.
Watching the onboard with Jarrett. See how they chuck it into the Cowboy hairpin one last time. Really, you can see how much they gain with that accordion effect coming down into the turn, but nobody nearly close enough amongst them. King still holds that final transfer spot. Hailing from my neck of the woods, well, sort of, close enough, up in Columbus, Ohio, is trying to make good here in Wisconsin. There you can see her leading the way. Once again, another bad landing, and this time, unfortunately, that has cost her as Liebert gets in there and shoves her to the wall.
Right place, right time. That was beautiful. We've seen a couple drivers done that before there. And you just want to be right there, ready to go up the inside. And definitely Liebert was.
Dashley coming into Calamity Corner is ahead of Salas and is going to take the last heat win. Chente in second. Whoa, big attempt from Crystal King. Tried to get there on Liebert in one last Hail Mary, but Jarrett, like you said, was there to snatch it when it happened. Crystal going to be on the pole for her LCQ with Kerr, Murphy, and Vandenbush going to be starting, or also going into the LCQ. We're going to head to a quick break. We'll come back with the last chance qualifiers here on the iRacing Short Course Series, sponsored by General Tire.
Whatever you do, General Tire delivers. Welcome back to Crandon International Raceway. We're here for the General Tire National Series. And here's our starting grid. Justin Kay in the first of the last chance qualifiers is followed by Ryan Miller. Mason Prater will then have Connor Berry next to him. Dennis Mickelson, Cameron Magashik, Paul Nikolajic, John Binder, Cody Wenyecki, Aiden Bierlein, and Bodie Cryer will round out your 11 that will start. And again, it's even tougher. We have more cars, more trucks starting this one, and only the top 3 will advance into the feature. If you don't make it in those top 3, you basically get parked for the rest of the night, and you can just watch the show from the stands. Looks like we're waiting for them to give the signal here.
One thing I wish iRacing had done is actually had the cowboy in to point at each of them before they go.
Yeah.
Yep, looks like the engines are revving. They're ready to take part in their last chance. Who's going to qualify? Off the line, Kay a little slow compared to those around the outside. In fact, it looks like Connor Berry might be the quickest, but now the 50 starts to come up along the inside. They're going to make big contact. Some of them moving very sideways coming through the first turn. Who's going to get the whole shot? It's going to be a tight one. I'm not even sure. They're going to have to go back to a replay to say who got that one. Looks like Wieniecki went off course in the back, but it is Prater who is up at the top of them. Kay is currently in second. Connor Berry down to the inside looking for both positions, trying to take the lead away.
I tell you, these kids, as young as they are, have been racing together for many, many years, and they know they're each other's moves. So it's going to be interesting to watch this unfold.
Oh, desperation is really showing itself. It is so much rougher than what we saw in the heat race. Nobody wants to be left behind, and unfortunately, one more going on its lid. Bodie Cryer has been having a hell of a day tonight.
And that definitely going to end that one for him there. But you can see right now, it's going to be Barry in, Kay in that bubble position right now, sitting right there, the third spot. Kay just outside.
And Berry with Prater swapping positions for the lead. Prater gets it back. Berry still in second. Like you said, Kay kind of in a dangerous spot right here. He needs to hold on to those front guys without losing ground to Ryan Miller back there in the fourth position. And once again, the back and forth between Berry and Prater. They just keep switching sides and switching spots.
Yeah, I think Kay's starting to drive a little overdrive the vehicle. We saw that, earlier. We saw Crystal, we saw it, and Miller earlier too, when they were hitting that jump and they just kind of just over jump it, don't really think about it. It leaves that inside open. So let's keep an eye on that, because I'll tell you, Kay and Miller are going to be battling here.
Little touchdown to the inside. We're on board with Miller, and we saw Justin Kay just kind of give a hello to Mason Prater. They're going to get back single file here as they climb upwards towards turn 6. And coming into the braking zone, that was a little ambitious from Kay. That actually checked up both him and Miller.
Yeah, Miller got a little back in action into Kay, though. And you got to worry about that, causing a little damage. And you also don't want to spin the guy around. I'll tell you, the officials are not going to like that.
Absolutely not. They keep a close eye on things, and they do not take lightly to what they consider unsportsmanlike racing. Looking back from Kay at fourth place, Miller, as they fly down through turn 1 once again. There's the jump we've been talking about. Watch them land. Oh, yeah, big hit for the 28.
Yeah, Kay definitely over jumping there. Miller's going to hopefully, he said, okay, he's done that twice. He's going to keep that in his head. Because we're going to get a white flag here off this next one.
I remember when iRacing first started implementing dirt off-road stuff, they one of the things they mentioned is they had to learn how to do the geometry for the suspension so differently from what they were used to on paved racing, because it kept breaking on them. So they had to figure out how to program them in to be able to take this kind of punishment.
And it is punishment. You're not far off. I mean, there is a lot of weight coming down. There's 18 inches of travel there. They're using every bit of it, including the bump stops.
Prater a little slow here at the end of the race, and Kay is kind of closing in on the back. Maybe he wants to try and get that second place. That will help his starting position into the feature. Look at him just appear. Whoa, big hit there for Kay. Unfortunately, Miller keeping him from being able to focus forward.
I love seeing it. Barry looks so calm, just cruising, look like he's out for a Sunday drive.
This is what we're used to seeing from that number 2. That's why it was so shocking that he had that horrible start in the heat and wasn't able to make it through. Right now, he's looking like he's going to get an LCQ win to his name. Not quite how he wanted to start the season, but at least it's a good recovery. As behind him, Prater and Kay now looking like they should be able to close this one up, but everybody else behind probably going to have to wrap it up and hit the showers. As we watch from Miller, this is the last opportunities slipping through his fingers as Connor Berry takes the win. Prater second, and Kay is the last to advance, and Miller is the one left out. Oh, excuse me. Oh, it's white flag. No, I thought we were on the last lap. Pardon me. So we come down through turn 6 once again. Apologies. I thought that was it. So yeah, Miller's got one last shot now.
Well, I'm sure Barry and Prater Cave's like, okay, yeah, that could be the checker, and I'll be happy with that.
Oh,
ooh, look at this. Look at Miller.
Slide job, but he saw it coming. Great move by Kay around the outside to shut him down.
Yeah, Miller just scrubbed off way too much speed going too deep into that corner.
Couldn't get in front of the 028 in time, and that means Kay stays in third. Great heads up there by Justin. What once again just takes it so hot through that leap and into the outside wall, both for the 51 and the 41. They keep it pointed forward, but they're using up the truck. They get them repaired easily through here. Another slide job there from the 51, but once again, savvy to it. Kay manages to get the shot off the corner, this time for real. The Connor Berry going to take an easy win here in the LCQ. Same deal for Prater in second place in the 50. And Kay, holding back the advances, will manage to advance as Miller will sit down. Mikkelsen was fifth in the 41. It was 6th for Beerline. Mikolajic 7th. Wieniecki wound up in the 8th position with Binder 9th, Megashik 10th, and Cryer did not start the race. B-Main now sees Scott Kerr with Sean Winkler next to him. Crystal King will be P3, Cody Retzlaff 4th, Zach Drabkin in P5, Colin Murphy. Then it's Buono, Vandenbush, Burke, MacArthur, Hayden, and Millen. They're already revving the engines. They are ready to go, and the green flag is out. Looking for the hole shot down to the inside. Scott pretty good off the line. Big bounces. His cars get a little bit sideways behind them, and it looks like that is easily in the hands of the 84.
A lot of contact going through there. Oh, big contact, sends one truck off.
That's the 116 of MacArthur. He's going to be able to get back on course, thankfully.
Yeah, that was a rough one. I'll tell you, they're going to get real physical. But look at this, Kerr, Winkler, Ratzliff. Kerr getting a great shot there. He was really struggling in that heat race, but it looks like he found that good stop. But look at this, Ratzliff with a nice little slide job to the inside. And it looks like he's going to move to third, but he's got his fight on his hands. Oh, contact.
Whoa, and unfortunately that gave him extra speed that sent him into Winkler. Again, nobody gets turned fully around, thankfully. And Drapkin got a warning. We got 2 cars over. Vandenbush tumbling. And then it's Colin Murphy who manages to eventually land on the rubber. He'll take off. So does the 89. But they're sent to the back. You weren't kidding about it getting rough. This is the last LCQ.
Yeah, everybody's fighting for those last positions. They know they're going to get the short end of the stick already. So they're going to battle it out there. Drapkin, though, up into third place in that final. Good to see him back up and fighting again.
And I tell you what, Crystal King back in a familiar position. Unfortunately, she's sitting 4th with Drapkin just in front. We're on board with her. What did she learn from the last time to try and see if she can avoid getting the cuts?
Yeah, that's the one thing for sure. She's going to have to watch how she's landing. You know, it's suspension's dialed in already. You know, you just got to learn to be able to use it right.
Down to the inside, coming through the gravel pit. Drapkin a little bit out there, but he finds the pull off the corner there. So he'll stay ahead of that 278. Up ahead of them, Kerr is not actually running away all that quickly. Winkler's kind of keeping him honest. I'm seeing a lot more of that rubbered-in racing line that I was talking about. Look at that. Just deep black now, especially through some of these faster turns.
I know it looks a little black, but, you know, of course, we all call it the blue groove. We see it in the pavement tracks, but in dirt, it's kind of weird. It gives you a little traction, but it also gives you a little give underneath it because it's still dirt.
Indeed, and very different tires as well with those grooves. And wow, Drapkin now getting a little bit of the elbows from Crystal King this time. She's trying to give it right back at them, and she's now side by side as they come at 98 miles an hour into the Potawatomi turn. And unfortunately, it looks like the 56 says, I can give that back too.
Yeah, that's just so awesome. I love that turn. Even after the you know, the land rush and you get that high speed, it still stays up close to 100 miles an hour.
Unbelievable stuff. So that's going to send Crystal back to fourth once again. Zach still narrowly into that transfer position as he's having to fend them off. We watch from our leader, Scott Kerr, and we're coming down to the white flag here. This is the red number 84, takes over the jump. Ooh, down to the inside there. Somebody bumping up against the K-rail once again.
I think it was Ratzliff was also a little contact, and James Burke right behind him.
Yeah, this is down for 5th and 6th spot. They can also see this kind of unraveling before their eyes, unfortunately, knowing they're well outside of the transfer positions. And this is going to be night over unless they can do something here soon. I talked about Winkler keeping Kerr honest, starting to look like he's maybe having a couple thoughts about challenging here, but the opportunities are going to fall away very quickly.
Yes.
As oh, excuse me, we're down to 2 to go. I called that a little early. We're not on the white flag yet.
Yeah. It's going a little bit quick there. And I was really curious to see Kerr driving with the goggles on there. It's a whole nother perspective. We saw some of the other drivers like Barry doesn't run the goggles. I guess it's their, their perception, but that's a good shot there. It's him really leaning in there. It gives you a little bit more body effects, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, and turning to see the apex. I've heard a lot of people say that the dirt side, whether that's oval or the road side, you almost can't race it effectively without having a triple screen or VR. Now we're officially on the white flag.
Yeah, that's a good point there. You get more perspective on where to put the truck or vehicle if you're racing the pavement, especially on a slanted oval.
Yeah, so much yaw in these vehicles coming through the corners to really be able to tell exactly where you're going. And also, who's on your inside and outside. That's a big thing. Crystal King still, unfortunately, in 4th place. That's been a bit of a theme for her. Oh, she's going to really send it. She sends it too much. Oversteers the car and actually causes an accident behind her as poor Retzlaff, Wano, and Burke actually run into her.
Yeah, Retzlaff able a nice recovery. He didn't lose position, but Wano and Burke, they got slowed down just a little bit. But this is going to be pretty much, I think, the Kerr, Winkler, and Drapkin show at this point.
Yeah, they are nowhere near anybody else at this stage. They just got to cruise to a podium finish for this last chance qualifier race, leading us up into the feature here in a moment. And Kerr, just taking a nice smooth line. He has been looking unflappable in this race, which is a good sign when we get up to the next one for the feature, because he's going to have some passes to make. He's going to win our last chance qualifier. Winkler advances, so does Drapkin. King just outside of the transfer zone. Retzlaff, Buono, MacArthur, Burke, Murphy, and the last one will be Vandenbush to take 10th in this group. Unfortunately, Hayden and Millen did not take part in the race. So with that, we'll get one more break in. We'll come back with the feature here for the iRacing Short Course National Series, sponsored by General Tire.
Whatever you do, General Tire delivers.
Welcome back to Crandon International Raceway. We're here for the General Tire National Series, and we're ready for the feature. They have narrowed down a lot of trucks to only 18 taking part in the big show here as they are getting ready to grid up now. And above them all, it is going to be Keith Jeffrey, who will start on the pole for this one. As they head on over for the land rush, this is going to be even more frantic than what we saw before. There you see Jeffrey with Dashley next to him. Parker Retzlaff will start in third. Jacob Raffus will start fourth, and then it's Plumley P5, Keaton Swane P6, and Alex Bergeron seventh. Vicente Salas will be P8, and Felix Roy 9th. Tyson Miller, the last one to start in the front row, in 10th. Trenton Briley starts 11th. Jarrett Liebert, P12. Connor Berry, 13th. And Scott Kerr, P14. Then it's Mason Prater in 15th position. Sean Winkler, Justin Kay, and Zachary Drapkin, the last one to manage to make it through. So, 2 rows starting up at the front, so you do have at least rows to talk about, but it is still very, very wide, and everybody's trying to narrow down in to this one little spot here through Potawatomi turn 1. Looks like we have just about got everybody gridded up. We're waiting on Justin K, and then they will be good to go. It's a much longer race. Let's not forget, 12 laps, and they have a caution flag at the end of lap 5, coming up to lap 6. They will manually throw that, and they will bunch the cars up. All the trucks will come together behind the pace car, and then they'll release them and send them off for the second half of tonight's event. It looks like Kay is giving it a little bit here before they get going. They were given 2 minutes to grid up. There he is out there, so that should be everybody ready to go. Looking forward to seeing what happens for our first feature of the season. I asked at the top of the show, who takes the opening salvo here? Who gets that critical win to set themselves up in the points for later in the season? Can our current champion, Connor Berry, manage to weave his way up through many trucks, past 12 of them, to get a feature win? That's going to be a huge ask for him. There we go. They got the signal now. So the engines start to rev. Looking for the flag, and there it is. Green flag is out. That might have been a jump start from, I think, the 24 truck. And that is Raffus, who is way ahead of everybody. Checking to see, yes, indeed, he's given a black flag that is automatically given out by iRacing for jumping the start 4 wide back there. And it looks like they might actually manage to make it through, and they do.
Absolutely incredible, the talent just to make it through that turn in real life, but in iRacing, the same. The chances, you roll the dice every time you go into that Forest County Potawatomi turn number 1.
Raffus dives into pit lane to try and serve that black flag penalty. He will be able to catch back up with the caution, though, as long as he stays on the lead lap here. Jeffrey now leads as Dashley is in second. Oh my goodness, almost a parking lot down into Calamity Corner. And once again, nearly 4 wide in the middle of the pack.
I'm pretty amazed, Trenton Brawley with a good run up there, but Barry, look at him, all the way up to 6th place already. Drapkin in 10th, and Prater still way down in 16th. Not a place we're used to seeing him, but I'll tell you, Jeffrey, so impressed with his driving.
Yeah, great stuff. He had the pole on this one, and he's making full advantage of it. Barry, you mentioned up those positions. That was before they officially started that first lap, having to go by the start-finish line, and we got one over. That looks like, is that Drapkin? It is indeed.
Oh, no.
That's our first truck to actually land on its lid, though. I think everybody else managed to land right side up, so he has to tow, and he'll have to hopefully get back out in time. They will give laps back to lap trucks, but he'll still be at the very back of the field if he comes back out after for that caution flag. Meanwhile, we're watching from Keith Jeffrey. Dashley down to the inside, down into the gravel pit. Can't make the pass, but he's making Keith think about things.
Yeah, Dashley knows how to definitely put it on top of the box, but I'll tell you, Jeffrey's been so impressive. He knows how to, hold on to the pressure, it looks like. Hey, look at this. Going up the inside, we've got some scraping of the wall there. Ratzlaff, Roy, Briley, Barry. I mean, they're all still right in there. On board, you can see that's Parker Ratzliff up into third, and he's watching this battle from right in the catbird seat going, okay, guys, go ahead and take each other out.
Oh, yeah, he is probably cheering them on. He wants to show, because it not only entertains him, but it helps him tremendously as they come into Cowboy Corner, and Dashley on Jeffrey, just making another little tip. Retzlaff watching eagerly as we now hop on board with Connor Berry. Still in sixth position, hasn't gained any since that initial charge at the very beginning.
Now, when you're going to see a lot of the moves, I think we pretty much have set the field. When we get to, they're going to hold back, and it's how they set their truck up for the halfway mark. When that competition comes out, the caution, we're going to see a whole nother race. The track is going to be changed. How do they set their tires up, pressure, everything set up for the last half of the race is the question.
Oh, Parker is really threading the needle in places, trying to get past Dashley here. Just managed to go right between himself and the other cars. Is once again, the inside line is the place to be through Calamity Corner. Nobody trying to go around the outside of that slow right-hander. And unfortunately, it's bunching them up right up against the K-rail as they come down towards turn 6. It's spreading out just slightly between the top runners as we now check in with Briley.
Briley looking pretty calm, relaxed there. You can see how much he's fighting that wheel. It really gives you a lot of feedback on those, in the track. When you feel that thing, you can just feel how rough it is. Your forearms, you got to learn to relax the hands a little bit, be smooth, but you're going to make a lot of micro adjustments because you're constantly trying to keep that thing going straight, scrubbing the wheel.
Yeah, and that was Connor Berry that slipped by Trenton when we just caught him trying to correct as he tipped another car. Yeah, you talk about the smoothness. I've heard drivers in all disciplines over the years talking about using their fingertips. My style is more white knuckle than this.
Yeah, because you start getting that death grip, you get stiff, your arms, your reactions aren't as quick. You got to stay smooth to be able to move quickly.
Miller sees the side-by-side action between Berry and Roy. Roy's next on the hit list for the current champion, but he leaves the door open, and that's going to allow Briley to get the spot back.
A great shot from Tyson Miller, though. I mean, just sitting in a sweet spot. He's right there. Look how close this is. The top 5, or well, I'm going to say top 6, 7, right there. You got little groups. You got a little cluster of 3, and then you got 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. All kind of battling back there, too.
Yeah, this has been tight. You talked about the front group. Actually, we need to go to the lead because it's going to swap places as Dashley sends the slide job, and successfully, Jeffrey has been toppled. Retzlaff now is going to try and get involved as he see if he can poke his nose into second.
Jeffrey's starting to slide back just a little bit there. Ratzliff now moves into second place, but I think Jeffrey's going to answer back here up the inside. Now watch this. May try to lean on it, but he's going to have the inside for 2 turns. But out of the gravel pit, into the player's jump, you always got to be set up to the inside there. And the outside, you're going to get blocked out.
Ooh, tries to slide up the inside, but the 88 makes door-to-door contact there with Dashley and finds his momentum halted. Here comes Parker Retzlaff trying to do what you're talking about. Has the inside into the corner. Whoa! And a tip up to the outside. Coming a long way around. Could Jeffrey manage to get the lead back here? Looks like he might.
He got squeezed out and a little bit of mistake there by Dashley and Ratzliff. Left that door wide open. But Ratzliff, he's going to come around to the inside again. Watch this.
Look at this battle. He goes right back up the inside. Everybody is on their toes here. Retzlaff sees it opening now. He's trying to get past them and get back to the front spot as the 31. No, he doesn't have the inside. He is going to be stuck in the middle, and it looks like Dashley is going to be able to get the drive off the corner there. This is no-holds-barred stuff. Let's not forget, at the end of this, we have the yellow flag. These guys are trying to get that top spot when they get the yellow.
I was expecting this to be in the second half of the race. I wasn't expecting this early.
Dashley has a little bit of a nose ahead for now, but Retzlaff trying to carry the speed, carries too much, bangs against the concrete barrier, tries to continue to just carry that momentum, and he's off into the grass. That does not offer the grip. He's way too high to the outside. Could Jeffrey now cut underneath? They're going to get a 4th one.
Felix Roy trying to get involved, but Dashley somehow holds on as they're coming up to the line here. We'll have the yellow soon. He gets a hello from Parker Retzlaff, who does manage to get underneath him, but he can't get the grip off. When's the yellow coming? He's ahead of him now. And have they called the yellow? There it is.
Okay, there it is. All right, that was just wondering where it's going. But it was so incredible watching Dashley and Ratzlaff go back and forth. Jeffrey right up there every time. And then all of a sudden, Roy. And then here comes Barry right on Roy. I cannot wait for the the half of this race. It's going to be mind-blowing. It's going to be a no-holds-barred battle royale.
If I was a betting man, and anybody do not take this as betting advice because I have a horrible history of this, I would put the money in with Connor Berry here. Starting from 5th position, if Roy is there to try and pick up the pieces, you got to think that Connor, when he sees this start, you talked about it, it's going to get crazy again. He is going to try his best to get involved, and he is going to be sneaking through any cranny he can find.
Yeah, I think there's a little rivalry going on right now between Ratzlaff, Dashley, and Jeffrey. It's in there, and it looks like you're getting a wave around.
A wave around, yeah.
Yeah,
that's Rafis, who is he wound up on his lid, so he's going to get waved around, and I believe Drapkin looks like he's back on the lead lap already.
Yeah, it looks like Drapkin's up in the 17th. He's able to catch up, but he's also 30 seconds back. It said.
Yeah,
30 seconds.
I mean, this brings his race back alive, but it's going to be tough for him to do much more than I think a top 10 out of this. It all depends on what kind of speed he has. But I mean, speaking of fighting through the field, Connor Berry is your biggest mover by a long shot. He is up 8 positions currently from the beginning of this race. So he is showing the makes of the champion that he is, just basically not taking no for an answer. And even though he's been dealt a rough card at the beginning, he's been coming back with a vengeance here in the latter half of tonight's event.
Well, I'm looking at the talent that's out there still, too. You know, Swane, Prater, Kay, Kerr, Salas, Bergeron, who's been driving really great. Liebert, he had a great battle. He was able to sneak by earlier, in an earlier heat race on Crystal King to take a qualifying position. So there's a lot of talent. Briley's still fighting. Chris Pumley. I mean, this is a insanely talented field.
Absolutely. And we've been hyping that up, that everybody's just upped their game immensely. So I got to say, this has been wonderful to watch, to see how everybody's been handling the dynamics of what for some are new names and new faces, and yet some incredible skill showing up and putting their stamp on this General Tire National Series as they're going to wait for the call. I do believe they'll get the go just around the barn, as that's what was played last year, but we'll double check and see if this is where the green flag comes out.
Usually at the Red Bull deal there. That's where we usually start.
There we go. Okay, so that should be about where it is, and there it is. Green flag is out. Retzlaff is on the throttle. Dashley going to follow him. Keith Jeffrey is trying not to lose the spot to Felix Roy as they get the speed up, and he actually gets a pretty good run. Will he try and challenge Dashley for second? If he does, will they start to lose touch with the 31?
Well, I can say right now that nobody's going to lose touch right now, because look how close they are. They are just a mirror image. It's like watching a drifting contest. They're mirroring each other in some of these turns. It's incredible. But I think that's going to be over with after this lap. From what we saw earlier in the first half of the race, this is going to get gnarly.
Absolutely. Top 3 getting single file, but it looks like Connor Berry and Felix Roy trying to decide that 4th position, but Connor is kind of pushed out wide as he's got no space. That causes a big checkup behind him as well. Plumley versus Briley getting a little bit side by side in there as well. Berry still hot on the heels of that red, black, and yellow number 91, trying to go down to the inside, and between them they get 3 wide with Jeffrey in the process. Behind them, a lot of beating and banging down around Cowboy Corner in the mid-pack.
Yeah, it's getting definitely physical. And just watching that battle between Plumley and Briley, you see Miller now sneaked up into another position, splitting those two up. They were starting to get physical, but we're going to see guys going door to door and leaning each other. We saw 3 wide several times through these turns. I don't think we're over with it. Oh!
Miller.
Pushed out Miller. Yeah.
Yeah, not sure what happened there, but he lost a lot of positions. He's down into 11th, and it is an absolute hornet's nest way down to the inside, almost going backwards into the corner, nearly coming to a halt there through gravel pit, and everybody manages to get out the other side. I'm not sure how, as that was a wild line to come into that corner with.
And you can see everybody's trying to drive down in that blue line area, stay out of the marbles up top, keep that wheel spin down, keep that full momentum, because we've got battles going on. This is not over with yet. We still got 5 laps to go, and I think these are going to tighten up here just in a few minutes. You can see the back battle there. I can see Plumley battling. There's Prater back on the right side.
By the way, race controls actually come over the channel, the communications channel, to tell them to clean it up, and there's another hit between Barry and Roy down into the Cowboy corner as we now check at them, and looks like Barry has managed to get into 4th, but he's lost touch with Jeffrey. That could be critical here for him.
Oh, definitely. Jeffrey has been so smooth. We watched him take that early heat win. I was actually surprised he got shuffled back, but now he's still fighting up there. But the amazing is Ratzlaff, how he's just holding on to it. Jeffrey, okay, he's got that. He's biting the cheek there a little bit, going, what just happened to me?
And there's been some official warnings over the communications channel as well now, given to specific drivers for rough driving. So that's essentially their last chance. If they get another looking at and determine that they don't like how they're driving, they're going to get penalties here from race control as we watch the battle for the lead. We've been ignoring this with all the fights from behind.
Yes.
And yeah, you called it earlier as we checked the onboard with Dashley, and he's starting to threaten the 31.
Starting to turn the pressure up on Ratzlaff right now. And I think Jeffrey's back far enough right now. Dashley is not going to have to too much, worry about him making a move. But I may have spoken too soon. But I think, unfortunately, Jeffrey got on the binders a little too hard there. He thought he might, carry too much speed, and he was going to go into Dashley, so he got on the binders.
If they start fighting, that's the best thing that Jeffrey could see. He wants them to really start to get some side-by-side, lose their momentum, and have a situation like we saw before where they open up the door for him, and they are really using every inch of the track now past the barn. That corner can really eat the cars up if they're not careful. That concrete wall has no give.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's a lot of paint being left there already from earlier races. They know how to use that. Now, here's the question, is how they set their trucks up. The suspension and everything. The second helm, you're getting a little bit more pounding on the suspension, and the tires are starting to go away.
Yeah, that's a good point. You might not think about that in only 12 laps, but they do start to chew up as there's a look down to the inside from the 23. But Parker, the spot to try and attempt to pass. Some successful, some not. This time, looks like we're not going to get any attempts from the top 4, although there was contact between Keith and Connor.
And a little contact back there, too. Jeffrey, and I believe they're kind of teammates there with the Nitro Circus, right?
I think you might be correct. Ooh, we had a problem for Zach Drapkin. Unfortunately, boy, he does not like Cowboy Corner. He got hit in the side and got sent to the back once again as we take a look at these leaders flying off the tabletop down into gravel pit. Ratzlaff, can he pull this off, getting an opening win?
Yeah, those General Tires are grabbing deep, that's for sure. Gotta love those grabbers.
He's grabbing for whatever grip he can.
Yes.
And it's going to be 2 laps to go now as they cross the line. Dashley still hot on his, because Connor Berry looks like he is really closing in.
Yeah, Berry's really starting to go up to the inside. He's trying to not make contact. You see he got on the binder, stayed away from him. I mean, we've seen in the past, and I know how these drivers have cleaned up how they race now, but that's easy pit maneuver.
Whoa!
And that's not the way you want to race. Oh, my goodness.
Dashley gets into the side of Ratzlaff and absolutely shoves him out of the way. He's your new leader. Jeffrey under attack from Berry, but he doesn't make the move. I'm curious to see what the stewards will think of that, because it was side-to-side contact, but my goodness, he just about sent him to the moon.
Yeah, that's just wow. Sometimes you get side to side, it can go a little too hard, too.
And it looks like Connor Berry has another attempt at Jeffrey, but that one doesn't stick.
He wants on the podium. Maybe he could even get to second place here. Another run wide from Retzlaff, a 2 for 1. No, Barry can't get either one. Great exit by the 88.
Now watch Barry's going to try and find his way to the inside here. Get to the inside nose and push Jeffrey out. You see if Jeffrey's got that midline, though. There's a lot of grip there.
Just the gentlest of kisses there coming through Calamity Corners. The white flag is now out, and he's got it. Barry's into third now. You got to think that Jeffrey's going to try and make a couple dives of his own to see if he can get past. What about Retzlaff on Dashley? I can't think he's happy about that last move.
No, I got to say he's got to be a little frustrated with him right now. He's running so smooth there. But I think Dashley, you know,
whoa,
it looked pretty slow.
And that's going to send him into the wall. He tries to back it up and get it pointed forward, but that was a bigger oops for Dashley as he unfortunately got turned the wrong way. Retzlaff now into first, and Barry's now into second. Could he steal the win? Coming from 13th on the grid. He seems to think so. He's going to get down to the inside as they fly past the barn. Just about gets past him. Little nudge to the outside wall from Parker Retzlaff as they come down to the final 2 turns, up to the gravel pit. Once again, he looks for it down to the low side, but it's not quite there. Retzlaff trying to hold him off. Can he somehow get inside in the final corner? Barry gives him a nudge, tries to see if he can get that tighter line, but it's not there. Retzlaff gonna take the win here in the first round for the feature race at Crandon.
Yeah, I gotta wonder though, that pass, you know, I wonder what the stewards are gonna say about it. It looked like a hard boot to me.
And I'm hearing them talk a little bit about that. I didn't quite catch it from the stewards. We'll see if we can get some information behind the scenes. What a fantastic last couple laps from the drivers.
Insane.
Drama all over the place. And these guys have got to be just soaked in their shirts with the sweat from that one. But unofficially, it looks like up at the top, this one's going to go to Parker Retzlaff from third on the grid, Connor Berry. And, oh, no, black flag. We're just getting the information right now. Race control has black flagged Retzlaff. We're going to see. We don't have an official word of what that will mean for the finishing order. See if we can get that number from them. I do not know if this means that Connor Berry will inherit the win. If so, that'll mean he gets 13th to first for the feature race, which is unbelievable. Behind him finished Keith Jeffrey with Felix Roy after that, Briley, Dashley, Plumley, and Swane. Then Bergeron gets a top 10 in his first foray here into the National Series. And Liebert will be possibly 10th. Again, we're waiting to get some confirmation there to see what's going to happen there with the official results.
Yeah, I hate to say it. It looked a little rough to me personally. That's my opinion. Seen a lot of racing over the years in the off-road industry, and I think it was a little desperation. And I'm not taking away because Parker Retzlaff was driving beautifully. You know, and it was just, you know, it's just like, oh crap, maybe I carried too much speed. I don't think he did it out of malice. I just think it was more of a desperation and carried too much speed. And unfortunately, the contact between him and Dashley.
Well, it looks like he will, in fact, lose the win. Barry is your winner unofficially. And we'll get you information once we get to the next race. Before that, we will take a short break. We can't wait to talk to these drivers because this is going to be a spicy one here for the iRacing Short Course Series, sponsored by General Tire.
Whatever you do, General Tire delivers.
Welcome back to Crandon International Raceway. I'm Joe Peak here with Dave Arnold, the voice of off-road, giving you the call for the first race of the season in the General Tire National Series. And it was not without drama and maybe even a little bit of controversy, as we have our unofficial winner. We have Parker Retzlaff ready to talk to us. Now, we do understand that there is a penalty hanging over his head, but we have been told unofficially is the winner right now. Parker, it looked like things got pretty heated there at the very end of the race. What's your perspective about the back and forth you had with Dashley?
I mean, it was overall a good race. I mean, there really wasn't anything to it. Him and Keith were making contact, and I drove to the inside of both of them, and then I was the leader into that hairpin and moved me right before the halfway break. Just didn't even try and make the corner and bodied both me and Keith out of the way. And then we got the halfway break going, and I was just driving all, setting sail by myself, and then he just came flying in from half a second back and just hit me as hard as he could. So I did it back exactly what he did to me, and they're saying that I'm getting a penalty for it. So, I mean, it was a fun race. I mean, there really wasn't. It was just good battling with me and Keith and everybody until Dashlett just started, not even trying to race anybody. But it was overall a fun race, and we were definitely one of the fastest trucks there.
It was very fun to watch, I can tell you that. But I mean, talk about the upping of the talent level this season, because we noticed that right away that it felt like everybody had kind of brought their A game and really taken last season's beating from Connor to heart.
I mean, yeah, everyone here is good. Like, Dashlett can definitely go win a race, like, without hitting anybody, just like everyone else can. So I don't know why it had to go to that point, but I'm not going to get raced that way and then just let everyone push me around. So I'm going to get raced how I get raced. And we'll see what their call is, and whatever they make is, I guess, the final decision. But it was overall a fun race, and I just have to thank everyone at Team Rogue for everything they do for me and everyone who supports me.
Great stuff. One last one before you go. Next time out, we're going to Wild West Motorsports Park. I mean, penalty or no, do you feel confident heading over there?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I guess I'll kind of make my decision on what they say or what they claim my penalty is if I do get a penalty. But I mean, either way, we'll keep working hard and trying to get better every week.
Great stuff. Thanks for coming and talking to us, Parker, and we can't wait to see you out there at Wild West.
Thank you.
Parker Retzlaff with the unofficial win here today. And up next, I believe, Dave Arnold is ready to talk to the current champion and possibly second place, Connor Berry.
Connor Berry, a little bit of pressure coming into this season here, the points champion from 2022. But Connor, talk about the struggles, not qualifying right out of it, having to go to a P main to fight your way to get to the main event, and then tell the story how that unfolded.
Yeah, this was just a crazy round. I qualified first, and my truck was off, so obviously I had to get it up and going, and I was in 8th. So I'm like, dude, I am done here. So I got back to 4th, which had me starting P4 for the LCQ, and I got to win that, and I started P13 for 40 main event, which is on the second row. So I thought I was going to be dead, but I came out P8, and I got to P5 before the caution, and I made some moves, and I mean, I was just going for it, and I was clean, but I was just like going for it. So it sounds like I'm going to be a P2, which is good, but I mean, there's still some work to be done, which is not in my control. So a P2 or a possibly a first, I'm not sure, but yeah.
Well, talk about the talent. Last year, I'm not going to say it was easy for you, but you definitely showed that you stepped your speed up. You had so much success in other leagues. This year, watching qualifying, watching the racing, how the talent has stepped up, how the drivers gotten faster. Now there's just tenths of a second literally separating you guys.
Yeah, I mean, it is close. I mean, I was in P8 and I was only a second away from first. So it was insane, and it's going to be a really tight year, and just hoping that I can just stay consistent and win.
Well, that's for sure. Consistency always wins championships, first or second, however it ends up. It's still a good way to start the season. And you got a new team. You're working with new people. And I know there's probably, you want to thank them, but, talk about that transition.
Sure, yeah. I'm not on the same team, but I'm kind of around all of the same guys, so it is good. But for sure, I want to give a big thanks to all of them, CBR, General Tire, and all of you guys for this stream.
Well, it was a great race, Connor Berry. Congratulations, and we'll have Joe now with third place.
Yep, and that was Keith Jeffrey, and Keith was the other one involved in that incredible three-way battle there in the first half of the race. Keith, my goodness, I mean, talk to us about all the back and forth you guys were having. We couldn't believe some of the moves we were watching.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. Definitely a lot of fun. Obviously frustrating at times, but you just kind of gotta take what you can get there and be smart. Some guys were, some guys weren't, and fortunately we were able to take advantage of that and ended up with a really solid night.
Absolutely. Now, having raced in the iRacing Off-Road World Championship, how does this feel in comparison to that? What's the difference between them feel like in terms of racing with your competitors?
I mean, I definitely feel like I'm racing around a lot of the same guys. That's obviously one more step up. But, I mean, the guys I was racing with tonight are the guys I plan on racing again in a few months when that World Championship starts. So it's great to get the experience now, but ultimately it's really close to that. This is probably as close as we're going to get, but that's definitely just one more step up. You add a couple more heavy hitters, and just makes it even that more crazy.
And obviously, anybody who's into anything off-road is probably aware of the relevance of Nitro Circus. How'd you get involved with them?
I actually, all the credit to Trevor Teal. When our old team decided they didn't want us anymore, we had to find new homes, and Trevor Teal had a little thing going with Nitro Circus, and overnight, I think it went from a couple buddies, having a good time to a powerhouse in off-road. So really excited to be part of the Nitro Circus Next Level Racing team, and I think we're only going to go up from here.
Certainly looks like you did well here today with the podium in the feature. Congratulations, Keith, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you when we head out to Wild West.
Thanks, guys.
It's Keith Jeffrey, third place, possibly second. We're still not totally sure, but we hope to get confirmation. We have one last one, just in case he's our last podium finisher. I do believe that Dave has caught up with Felix Roy.
Hey, how
Felix,
you guys doing?
How you doing, Felix, man?
Doing good.
Man, talk about a battle. This was a physical race for sure. You can see, we're watching a replay right now. You got leaned on quite a few times there, fighting with up in the top 5.
Oh yeah, just came here last second, kind of. Couldn't put a quality lap, so just going in the front of the heat and starting, I think, 9, and just doing my thing, riding around, because I know I was not a top car, I thought, because I didn't really practice that much. I need to get back on the wheel, but just having fun, man. And it's Pro 4 racing door, and it's part of the game, I think.
Well, yeah, it's definitely off-road is physical, but the mind-blowing is you said you haven't been practicing. You battled all the way up to 4th. It could be a 3rd. We don't know what's going to happen, but imagine if you put a little time into practice and got more comfortable again. You didn't feel you were fast. I can say otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking with all them guys from my last team, and they were saying, man, like everyone practicing and grinding for the pro, and I was like, that's crazy, because I didn't put a lap, and I was just like, I'm gonna practice with Connor Lee and and have fun, and that's what we're doing, putting up to the front and just having fun, man. That was a fun race.
Well, it definitely was a fun race for us to call. I'm sure the fans enjoyed it. You guys kept it a tight race, and I thought it was going to be a good start of the season, and it sure was. But I know you probably got some people behind you'd like to thank.
Oh yeah, I mean, I can't complain. I got Caseload Joel behind me. Probably my girlfriend watching right now, my grandparents watching, and you guys doing a good job down in the boot. So thank you guys, and thanks for all my Quebec fellows watching too and supporting me.
Well, right on, Felix. We're looking forward to see what you're going to do with a little practice in between now and next week.
All right, thank you. I don't know where next week is, but I might put up a couple laps to be better next week. Thank you, guys.
Right on. Felix Roy, everybody.
Which is going to close us out. And a huge thank you for watching tonight. But make sure to join us next week when we come back Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern at Wild West Motorsports Park. But also a big thanks to the organizers at the General Tire National Series. And a thank you to our team tonight, Dave, Ryan, Cameron, and Dougie. Also, none of this is possible without those behind the scenes at Podium Esports, Ryan Bauer, Gary Sexton, and John Theodore. Thank you so much for watching tonight's broadcast of the General Tire National Series. I'm Joe Peak, and I'll see you on the track.
Whatever you do, General Tire delivers.